Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Today's a really special day. Actually, I have Birgit, who was here about a year ago, and she's back on the show. So I'm excited to have you. How are you, Birgit?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. It's really nice. I was just remembering the day that we had the podcast 1 year ago.
Yeah.
And that day I was really nervous also because now my boyfriend, after a year, but then we were still, he was just my boyfriend. He was driving to the Netherlands, Amsterdam, where I used to live back then. And now I'm actually recording the podcast in his place. So you see,
that's awesome.
So much can change in a year, but it was really funny to remember this.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I'm excited to see what has happened in the last year and that transformation. Before we dive into that, let me just kind of give a little bit of your background so the people that haven't heard your first episode can get to know you and see who you are. Birgit moved abroad when she was 20 for the first time and did so again 5 times after. She lived in Aruba, in Austria, in the mountains, Barcelona, and London for studies, and her previous job as a hotel manager, a headhunter. When she was living in the Netherlands, she always moved away from the known and where her family lived to Amsterdam. When she was 24, her father got diagnosed of blood cancer called multiple myeloma. So she postponed her dreams of traveling the world, working in scuba diving, and starting her own company. Although it did not know what it was yet, for years she was struggling with happiness, relentless, and light depression. She kept fighting and it was tiring. In 2012, she took a 10-day silent meditation course, which started slowly opening up inside since she closed off from all the things because of the sensitivity from her 12. So I definitely want to leave it at that because I think there's a lot of things going on that happened, right? And with that, I mean, I definitely want to talk about that. You know, putting you were moving from one place to another, and I think that's very brave, even at an early age. What kind of triggered that? The first thing I have. The second thing is putting your dreams on hold. And I think a lot of times we go through that. We put out our dreams on hold for multiple reasons. So why don't you tell me more of that?
Okay. What was the first one again?
The first one.
Why I moved.
Moving, where did that courage came about and being able to move from one place to another? What was
I am not so much trying to escape a place, but I'm more drawn to places. I'm naturally really curious. I'm always wondering how would it be to be there? And I was always interested in other cultures and travel. And my father is also not from the Netherlands. He came from Turkey. So for me, it was more natural to look over the borders, although that's very common for people from the Netherlands as well. It's a small country. And I think wherever you go in the world, wherever you travel, you will always find a Dutch person there. They're everywhere because we like to explore, and that's, for me, that's more than average. But that's the reason why I mainly did it, to get a different view on life, a different experience, and not always being the same thing. Because I get bored really easily with being day in, day out in the same place, doing the same stuff. So I like to shake things up a bit.
That's pretty awesome. And again, I know part of that movement too was just being harassed by your neighbors and you know, there was a lot of different factors, right? Obviously, as you said, you were not
Yeah.
escaping from that. Nevertheless, being able to do that, and I guess the biggest thing is one thing that I think is very interesting is when people decide to make those kind of shifts and those kind of changes. It takes a lot. So, what kind of mindset or mentality was there? You know, were you practicing to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to a different country, or I'm going to be traveling all over the place. Because definitely, I often hear the idea of people want to travel, yet they're so afraid of, specifically right now with what we're going on. You
Yeah.
know, people don't want to get out or don't want to travel, and I feel very similar to you, that if you have the opportunity or the means, and sometimes it's not so much about having a lot of money to do it, it's just being able to having the desire and find the way to do that. What is that driving factor? Recently I was talking to some people from other countries that are very poor, and I was very impressed by how people at the age of 17, 18, 19 are taking this risk of leaving their countries to go to a different country, to have a better opportunity to really experience that, yet leaving possibly family behind, maybe even kids. And it's just something that I'm very intrigued by.
Yeah, I can relate to that. And definitely what you're saying as well. I think in the Americas, you have that a lot, that
Yeah,
people move from Latin America to the US at a
right.
very young age for better possibilities. Yeah, from where I'm from, that's not the case, but it's more of a thing that you can do easier because you have in general, people from the Netherlands, not everybody have the money to do that in general. Okay, there are always exceptions. So it's different, but still a lot of people, and that's exactly the niche that I'm working in right now.
Mm-hmm.
And many people in a country where everything is very comfortable and going really well, like the Netherlands, for instance, and Belgium. This is my main audience at the moment, but it's similar for people in the US and other countries, welfare countries. And they're very programmed into the idea to be safe. And it's the opposite from the people that are actually looking for opportunity. Their mindset is completely different. Like really young people, for instance, coming from Mexico, going to the US, leaving everything behind because they believe it can be better. Mm-hmm. They see the opportunity rather than what they leave behind. But if you're always in your warm house, in your well-paid job, although you don't really like it, and you are brought up with the culture like, okay, everything is really good and comfortable here. In other countries, it's worse. So it's better to be here, although the weather is shit, although you might not feel happy. You know what you have, and you have a lot of good things, like the golden cage. And this actually is blocking the growth mindset and therefore the opportunity to be truly happy to do what you really want to do. Because being in the golden cage, having good salary, having a good job, doing what's expected of you, rules of society, what your parents wanted you to become, what's in generally expected of you to do, is actually nothing too risky, or what looks risky. So many people end up regretting not taking that trip, not becoming an entrepreneur, not travel the world for a couple of months, never moved abroad, never really started looking what their purpose was in life, what did you do, and just sticking to what their parents were doing, like the generation above me. Yeah, just work your 9 to 5, sit in front of the TV, and don't make it so difficult. But I don't know how it's for you, but for me, that's really difficult. For me, I was always like, I can go there and I can go there, and there's so many things I can do. I'm always looking at, there's always something possible. I want to expand. I want to experience things. And for many of the people that follow me and now work with me, that's what I want to do. And I can help them because that's what I always did.
Right. Yeah. And I think you hit a couple of great points. I mean, sometimes we are limited, or we believe we're limited. I don't think we're limited. We believe we have this perception of limitations based on what the society wants us to do, based on what our surroundings or our family or whatever, right? We're so pushed to doing those things based on what's going on the outside, when in reality, we have to just look deep down and say, okay, what do I want to do? If I want to travel, I'm going to find a way to be able to do that. If I want to start my own business, let me find a way to do that. And really, I like the idea of taking those risks. Again, the one thing that I know for sure, for myself, and I'm sure many people can agree with this, is that I don't want to be in my deathbed, in 20, 30, 40 years and looking back and said, I wish I could have done that. Like, I don't want to be in that position. I would much rather go through many ups and downs through my life journey, yet realizing that when I'm on my deathbed, that I'm like, you know what? I'm satisfied. I'm good to go. I'm really good to have that. And sadly enough, there's a lot of people that don't enjoy in or create those limitations in their own mind, and therefore do not allow for the opportunities or the things that can come out of the life journey. And so, talking about your program, you do group coaching and one-on-one coaching. Is that still the case?
That's still the case. Right now, I started to do a couple more things in Dutch. So, but I still do things in English, and my Instagram is in English. And every week, for instance, I also do free live coaching on Instagram on Monday evenings. Well, evenings in Dutch time, Amsterdam time. 6:30. But it's really fun to watch, because people actually send in cases, like how to find my purpose or how this and that, and then the followers, the viewers, they can vote which case they want me to answer, and then I answer it in just like 15 minutes. And further, I'm giving master classes about how to actually escape your 9-to-5 life and find your purpose in 5 steps. I'm doing that now in Dutch, but later this year, I'm also going to give these free online master classes in English.
Okay.
And linked to that is a group program, Start Before You're Ready. I did a program before in 2020, and now I'm in the first 2 quarters, I'm only doing it in Dutch. It's going to be 10 weeks long. So it's a group of maximum 20 people. And later in the year, from the 3rd quarter, I'm going to do it in English as well, because I really like, I like the Dutch audience, but I also like the English speaking international audience. And I mix, so I like to do things mix and also challenge myself and not limit. But I see that's also really nice for people that I do more things in Dutch, because I'm Dutch and speak it fluently. And I like to engage them more as well, and the Belgian people. So but it's really exciting, really cool. Friday is my first masterclass, and for now there are about 25 people coming. So really excited. So I'm going to tell them my story, but also what you were looking at before, like the creativity, the limiting beliefs. Like, okay, there are so many things that people think I can't leave everybody behind. I can't just quit my job. I have a mortgage. I have rent to pay. What will people think? And this is holding them back. And then they are, in the end, they get a midlife crisis, and then they're like, oh, I wish I've done that. Well, now a 30-life crisis is more of the thing. That's more my target audience, the millennial problem, that they don't know what to do, and they feel lost. And just like, you can think all day like, oh, I need to know what I want to do. That's was exactly what I was doing, but it doesn't work that way, because you're not inspired. So first you need to follow your passions. For me, that was scuba diving. And then my dream, like, so cool to become a scuba instructor. So I just need to do it. Now I'm going to travel. But I was also a bit waiting. And then I thought, nah, let's not do that. And I really invested in my corporate career. And it was going really well after a really difficult time. And I was doing really good, worldwide top 25, making a lot of money for the company, not so much for myself, because the tax mostly takes it. And then I was like, oh yeah, what we're going to do next year. And then, I was in the lift to become a director. And then my father passed really sudden, although he was ill for a long time. And then it was just, it destroyed me terribly. And then these dreams came back, like, I want to take sabbatical. I want to go to Australia. Like, for instance, behind is Rainbow Beach, Australia. And it's most of the beautiful places I've ever been. And I went there 4 years ago. I was there. And it was just so great, So 2 years later, after my father passed away, now 6 years ago, 4 years ago, I jumped on that plane and I went for 3 months, and I took my scuba instructor program. I've never been so nervous in my life, but it opened everything up. And then I came back home, and after 2 months, I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And people are like, you can't do that. You cannot just quit. And you don't get the social support. And I was like, I got money. I worked my ass off for years. You think I spend all my money? No, I'm smart and I invested some stuff. So you need to be creative. If you can't do it now, start looking at crypto, start looking at ways to let money work for you. Don't spend it all and have no plan. But, you know, the better you are financially and with a lot of things, the less risky it is, of course. But there's always a risk. If I calculated it then, I should be bankrupt by now, still not bankrupt. And I started my own company. So cool, you know, you need to be smart and not do everything like how they teach you in school how to do it. It's really narrow-minded, actually. A lot of things I learned, especially in high school, is just how to put it neat. Useless. Let's say useless.
And talking about that, I mean, you know, it reminds me, last time we were talking about a year ago, and I'm sure that hasn't changed much. And it goes back to the idea of that fear, right? You know, and you said something that was pretty astonishing. You said if you don't work for your fears and follow your heart, that will be the thing you regret most when you're great and old, and then it will be too late. And again, oftentimes we have the fear of, what about if I lose everything? What about, I'm saving or whatever. And I always tell people, well, there's that calculated risk. There's gonna be a risk in anything that we do. By itself, life is risky. Every step you take is risky. Every walk you take is risky. I'll give you a quick story on that. And what I mean by that is, I normally do a lot of exercises every day, twice a day. And I've been doing this for many years, right? And this happened to me about a month ago. And I was doing my exercise. I was jogging. And again, I've gone through this trail plenty of times. And again, going back to the idea that life is risky, I got assaulted and robbed and mugged. Two people came up to me, and I got beat up and I got assaulted. And I think to myself, is like, I've been doing this for so many years, yet after that incident, I'm still doing it. Because if I take that fear of I'm not going to do it anymore because I'm fearful of that, then again, I'm giving away, in my opinion, my power. I'm giving away something that represents me. Whether that took place or not, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I cannot live with fear. I got to be able to live with love and harmony. And so again, going back to that, if you follow your heart, as you mentioned a year ago, I think there's so much abundance in that aspect, right? And we got to not live so much on that fear of, well, what about if this happens to me, or I lose that, or I lose that? I think one thing that I remember even to that incident is that I'm glad I'm still here, because I do believe that we are here today and we are gone tomorrow. And the blessing that I'm still alive, whether I lost all my money or everything, it doesn't matter. I'm still here, which means that I can still come back again and do it all over again. And so I think that those are some of the things that people got to be able to take away from that. I think it was last week, you were doing a video on Instagram, or 2 weeks ago, and you were talking about, the topic was about meditation, or something to that nature. And one thing that people have asked me plenty of times too is, how did I meditate? How did I do it? How did I get my mind in that state of mind so that I can get the best results? And so I want you to talk about it a little bit from that perspective, because you've gone through a lot of, you were on a 10-day, silent experience and all of that, which has helped you. And I want to learn more about that.
Oh yeah, that's a cool question. And one thing I wanted to say about what you said before I go into meditation, the thing is, you can lose all your money and you can make it all back. Mm-hmm. But the time you lost, you can never get it back.
Yeah.
That's the thing people don't realize. There's always a way, because there is an abundance in money that just print more. Mm-hmm. Right, there's not a limited amount of money. The problem now is too much money printed, but that's another story.
Right.
All right. Exactly. Meditation. Yeah. The thing is, first of all, people spend a lot of time thinking about meditation instead of experiencing meditation. So this is the first problem. People think I should meditate. That's almost a meditation at itself, but they don't realize that. There are a lot of limiting beliefs and wrong beliefs regarding meditation. Look, I am not a guru or whatever, or a teacher, but I know from my own experience. I went to that meditation in course, Vipassana. It's free for everybody all over the world. So everybody, a beggar on the street, for everybody, it's free. It's from dhamma.org. It's a worldwide. So wherever you are, there's centers all over the world. But I wanted to do in Thailand and combine it with a trip because it was a bit more spiritual than doing it here in the cold.
Yeah.
And but you know, there is not a right or wrong way to meditate. There are different types of meditation and techniques. I choose Vipassana and went deep, but it's also fine if you just do a guided meditation from one of the free apps like Headspace or whatever. There's meditation moments I use in the Netherlands. Or at least just put a timer for a few minutes and sit down and observe your thoughts and focus on your breathing. And that's it. And it doesn't matter. Your brain is going to produce thoughts. You are not able to stop it. That's the biggest myth. How can I make my mind empty? Your mind can't be empty. Your brain is here to think. Mm-hmm. Like your heart is here to beat. Your brain is here to think. You can only slow it down and give a little bit more space between the thoughts. And the most important thing for Vipassana is that you train your ability to not react on everything. Because that's the problem, actually.
Trying to react to every single thought.
Yeah. So let me just take some water. So what I learned is that we think we have to respond. And, you know, especially Western world, Asian, not so much. We respond on everything all the time. What people say, but also on what we think. But your brain just comes up with thoughts. And most of the time they're not true. Or your ego is in fear, trying to keep you safe. And it's telling you stories. It's telling you a story to keep you alive. That's it. And what you do with meditation, you sit down, you observe your breath, or you scan your body like you do with Vipassana, and thoughts pop, memories pop up, thoughts pop up, ideas pop up. And then you just, the trick is just to observe it and see it pass by as a cloud. And not like, oh, I'm thinking about meditation. I'm not meditating well. I'm not meditating well. I'm doing shit job because I cannot stop thinking. Mm-hmm. You can instead, when you're sitting down, like, I'm thinking about how to meditate. Am I doing it well? Oh yeah, that's the lesson. Just go back to being in meditation. So the trick is to not respond on your thoughts, but you will. I still do after 10 years. Like the most experienced people, like the monks, sometimes, you know, they will respond. But the trick is just every time you get lost in your thoughts, once you realize it, you bring yourself back. That's all you do. Every time you drift away and once you realize it, then you bring yourself back to your point of concentration. It can be your breath or whatever technique you're using. That's all. That's it. And some days I'm distracted. It's like the monkey mind and it's going everywhere. And it takes me longer to realize that I'm not meditating, but I'm thinking. But then I just take myself back. And I'm not upset. I'm not angry. It's just the way it is. That's the practice. That's all. But you will always keep thinking thoughts because that's what your brain does. And the questions I get from meditation, people never realize that's it, that you're actually training that ability to observe instead of react. And just be doing that. And it calms everything down. So that's the greatest thing. I still do it in the morning when I wake up and before I go to sleep. So you kind of clean the system and you don't build up so much things in your mind. Everything that stays in your mind that you worry about will get a place in your body. But if you meditate, it will pass. You know?
That's awesome. And again, the one thing that I've obviously heard a lot is, you know, am I doing this right? How did I meditate? How did I get in that state of mind? And, I, I like what you mentioned, you know, you got to just be able to be in there and again, thoughts are going to come in, every day we have so many thoughts coming in
Yeah.
and so we got to be able to just realize that and still be in that process, right? Because a lot of times people say, well, it's not working, so I'm not meditating, I'm thinking of something else, and then they just don't even do the exercise. And I think it's a matter of just practicing and doing that, right?
It's about doing the exercise.
Right. Yeah.
It's about the experience of meditation. It's not about getting it right. There's no wrong and right.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no good or bad.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all. It's just the same as you're going for a walk. One day you feel it's easier than the other time, but it's still a walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's just an exercise. That's all.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, so in the last year or so, what has been, I believe that we continue to grow, right? Every year, we're doing something bigger and better. And I know I hear this, that sometimes, people that might be in our space, whether we're coaches or whether we're influencers or of some kind or helping other people, a lot of times what the majority of people don't see is that we are either constantly growing, we are either going through some sort of mentoring to ourselves, we might get our own coach to help us in our own journey. Just wanted to, maybe if you can walk me through what have you done in the last year to definitely continue to help you grow and become bigger and better, right? Because I think that our life is a journey of learning and experiencing that. And I believe that we never stop learning. I believe that we're going to continue to learn to the end of our days. Otherwise, I feel like you stop, living.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. I think the one thing that I do more than other people and why I can grow really fast, and probably you too, is every day I go out of my comfort zone. There's never a day that I stay inside my comfort zone. I always do something that's uncomfortable, and mostly multiple things. And almost every day I learn something new, I do something new. Because everything I've done with my business, now I'm like, I need to improve my marketing. I start making reels. I didn't do reels before. I had no idea how to do that, but I just keep going and going and going, and I do it every day. I make videos. Okay, apparently my message is not clear. I need to narrow it down. Okay, now I want to learn how to do master classes. That's actually a webinar. All right, I'm going to take a business course for somebody specialized in that. And then you enter this course and then you feel like, oh, so much info and it's so difficult. And mostly I'm quite opportunistic. So I just get myself in trouble, and I give myself like seemingly an impossible task. But then I'm already in it. I already bought the business course, so I'm in it for 4 months, and it just needs to go. And I'm like, whoa! And sometimes I'm really, some days I'm just like freaking panic attack in the morning, and I just feel pain and worry, and I'm like, oh! And it's very funny for my boyfriend. He's all like, okay, but now he starts learning too. Okay, when she goes like, she's on the floor and she doesn't know what to do. That is the moment. And then I can kind of observe myself as a third person. Maybe that's all the meditation practice. And I'm like, okay, this is the moment. Now I'm on the floor. And the only thing I need to do is get up and be better and do it again and again. And actually, because I started doing that, it's so uncomfortable, but I learned so much, and I'm so different. This was the last 6 months, especially because when we spoke last year, I was back in Amsterdam, and then I decided to move away because it was impossible to stay there. And Amsterdam has never been so boring, thank you, because of all what's going on. And it was just too noisy and didn't feel good to be back. So I actually went to Greece for over 2 months, and now I am living partly here and there. So I have no fixed place, but you get used to it.
Right.
It's good. For me, it feels free. I wanted to feel free and not boxed in Amsterdam in a really expensive apartment that I didn't enjoy being. And it's not like free. I don't have any commitment. I do, because I have my business, I have relationships, my family, good friends. I'm very loyal. But I like to, go out of my comfort zone. And because I do that, that's where the growth is. And that's the same for people I mentor and I coach and train, is to help them do that, because well, your show, you can overcome anything. That's why I like the show. It's really good, because that's it. Some days you just feel like, oh, this is, oh, what have I done? And when I think, what have I done, I suffer, but then I become really brilliant. I can say that. What do you have the same experience?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I definitely like to go back and again, as you said, we all suffer. We'll go through that journey, and it comes down to, well, what do I want to do, or what am I going to do to continue to push forward? And I always believe, like for me, my highest intention, what is my highest intention? And that is that I want to motivate. I want to be able to inspire. I want to be able to make a difference on my life as well as other people's lives. So not only am I motivating people, like even, kind of doing this podcast, this is great for the people that are listening to the podcast. It's also great for me. I'm also learning. I'm also growing. So I always learn every interview that I do, every person that I have here. And that's the beauty of that. And one thing you mentioned, which kind of goes back to you getting out of your comfort zone, which is, I think, a great message for everybody to take on, is the road with the most resistance makes you grow and feel happier than the comfortable zone. And so that is by itself huge, because without resistance, there's no opportunity for growth. And again, you might be, even when you're getting uncomfortable and doing something uncomfortable every time, you're growing. And that's a huge lesson by itself that I think we all got to be able to take on and do, So in terms of the coaching, I'm interested in your coaching, right? People that want to connect with you, want to talk to you, what kind of coaching do you do so they can kind of get a better understanding of your programs?
So what kind of coaching do I do? Very uncomfortable, but a lot of fun. Okay. So the niche I'm in is mostly female. I focus my marketing and on ladies, but if there are guys listening and think, oh, she's really cool, I want to be coached by her. Sure, you're welcome. Of course, you're welcome. But like all my ads on Facebook and Instagram, they're only women, mainly millennials, bit younger, bit older, with, in general, people that likes to self-development, but also interested in career. I am right now really approaching, well, women that have a couple of years of work experience, but they're actually quite kind of bored. They're kind of stuck, but not completely realizing they am. They go to work, they work hard, they make good money, everything seems fine. They seem to have this perfect life that was thought, okay, you have your nice apartment, you have nice car, everybody's waiting for you to buy that bigger house or live together or get a promotion, and everything looks good, yeah? But inside, they're like, this is it. I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this for the next 30 years. Yeah. It's very stressful. I should be happy, but something is missing. Maybe I want to do something for myself, but I don't know what. For sure, I would rather like drop things now, go traveling a bit, see the world, go abroad, take sabbatical, all these kind of themes, or realize that I have a really big dream that I want to do. So these are the main topics that I am expert in. I lived through this, and it took me more than 10 years to get out of that. But I found a way to actually do all these things. Mm-hmm. And you just need to be creative. And it can be very painful because you have to let go of your limiting beliefs. You have to deal with what your environment thinks, what society says, what in their eyes is success. And most of them, they also have problem like connecting with themselves. What do I want? What do I want? They lie awake at night, not knowing what they want. I used to be that person. Mm-hmm. So, I basically coaching people that were like me, only didn't have the balls yet to actually do something. And they're probably a bit less courageous. And I always been quite courageous, and I moved, and they did a lot of things against the grain, let's say. But most of them, they're a little bit more like, okay, I can't really do this. My parents and my studies and, my message, you can do it all. You can really do it all. Because my mom also said, yeah, but you grow up with the idea you can be anything. I'm like, yeah, but I can be anything. Yeah. But it has to be the right thing that I want to be. And the problem is that That's the biggest problem in general. And then you're just in this life that's supposed to make you happy, but you're not. But you don't realize what's actually wrong because you don't know anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of people I work with, and these are the kind of topics that we actually go through. But I'm very practical, but I also do it with spiritual things like visualization, meditations, but also goal setting. So I combine my business, my coaching, my spiritual, even my scuba teaching experience and my traveling experience. And I know what it is to leave a well-paid corporate job. Right. And I know how hard it is to start up my own business after traveling and all these things. And sometimes you feel really lost. But the thing is, I've never been happier. It's like every day I wake up and I'm like, let's go. Even if I have to work on Saturday, Sunday, no, I don't care. Because I know now, like the first 5 years are tough, but after that, I'm going to be good. You know, I think Gary Vee says that, like, eat shit for the first 5 years of your life and then eat caviar your whole life. Well, that's what I'm going for. And just by doing my dreams, I didn't know I want to become a life coach, but by doing that sabbatical, taking that scuba instructor course, quitting my job, and then just work as a scuba instructor, live in Greece on an island, and just do a lot of self-development, online courses, listen to podcasts and some soul searching, let's say, and becoming really creative, working with affirmations, like for the money stuff. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this now, like money drama. Every day, I love money and money loves me and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, one way or another, money always came to me. It's not that I'm just sitting on the sofa all day. Of course, I do something, but I feel inspired to do something and to put myself out there. Although it's uncomfortable, I'm so much happier. I'm happier than I ever been. And that's what they can have too. So that's my message. And that's what I help them do in those 10 weeks. That they actually have a plan, are less insecure, and they started actually moving towards what they really want, and also help them realize what they want. And also that's okay to not know it perfectly, because you can't force it. You have to start walking your path. And most of us are not walking our path. We're walking the path of others. Or we're just following signs where people say we should go, but this is not the right way. And that's why we don't know. So we first have to go in the right direction, and then we'll find what the goal is.
Right. So, I would imagine there are three things that come to mind when people may want to do something different in their lives that I don't know if you have found this kind of resistance. Number one would be, well, I may not have the means or don't have the money to invest in myself. So I can see that as a rejection or something of some kind. The other one is, I know I want to do something, yet I don't have nothing in place right now. So how did I even move forward with that? And then the other one, I believe, is again that the limiting beliefs and the mind challenges that we might have, right? And I guess if you can kind of maybe walk me through all those three different resistance, what might be some of the responses that for the people that might be listening to us where, hey, don't let that be a limitation, or don't let that be the excuse to not move forward.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to only talk about the limiting beliefs or the other ones as well?
Let's touch on a little bit on all of them. Maybe let's start with the idea of I don't have the money to invest in myself or even put out, how did I, do that, right?
Yeah. So in general, people I work with, they have a job. Okay. They get paid. They're quite highly educated. But even if you're not, I'm not. It's just I just need to focus on a niche. This is message for anybody. Look, there are very poor people, there are very rich people, there are a lot of people in between, but there are also a lot of people in the world that came from nothing and they made it happen. So it has to be in the way you think and what you do. So taking action, doing something. If you don't have the money now, find a way to have money. There is always a way to make money. There is. You just haven't found it yet. So that's your challenge. And find something that you have fun with, at least, because that can actually solve two problems. First, you have money. Secondly, you might find something that you actually want to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And if it's not what you want to do, you can always change. You can always try something else. It's okay to fail.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think with that, it comes down to that. The next one will be the mind, the thoughts that are in our heads, the limitations we're giving ourselves. Because again, it could be like, I don't have the money, and maybe I don't have the way to find the money. Again, it is that mind shift, that changing the way you see things from a different lens, right? And so what about those people that might come in with a lot of things, a lot of baggage in their head that are preventing them from moving forward?
Okay, so what kind of things? So you pretend you are one of them. Just say something to me, then I'll respond.
Yeah, definitely. So I might say, well, I don't believe in this stuff. I believe that I'm here I gotta work hard to make a lot of money, and the only way for me to get ahead is by working hard, even if I have to get 2 or 3 jobs, because I fear that a lot.
Okay, well, if that's really what you believe, try it. See if you're still alive in 10 years.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with working hard.
Right.
But it's about, I work hard. I sometimes work harder than I ever did, but it doesn't always feel like work because it's for me.
Right.
If I succeed, it's for me and I have fun doing it. Not always. Some days I'm like, but still I go to sleep and I'm happy. Work 2 or 3 jobs. You can do that, but there's a limited amount of time that you have to work because you also need to rest. You need to eat, you need to sleep. Basically, the only thing you're doing is not giving yourself time to find something that's actually worth doing, that you enjoy doing. And the way you do something makes a difference if you make a lot of money or you take a little money. Even if you believe, I'm not very brilliant, blah, 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 I'm just going to work in a car wash. Okay. Or I do car wash. But the way you wash the car and what service you do and what experience you give somebody, that makes it if people come back to you or not. Here around the corner, I haven't tried them yet, but I'm really curious. There are a couple of Pakistani guys and they do hand car wash, because here in the town where I'm right now, there's not an automated. But actually I'm interested because they also do the inside. And I hate cleaning the inside of my car. So I'm going to check out how they do it. There are actually 2 here, and the one that does it best, and also how they treat me and what things they do. And then what I pay for it will determine if I'll come back or not. So the way they do it doesn't have to be anything new. Like there are 1 million life coaches in the world, I think, but nobody has my experience. And then also you like my energy or you don't, And then I'm just not for you. There are enough people in the world. There's enough opportunity.
Right.
And it's just energy. So if you believe 2, 3 jobs, but I'd say find something that you really enjoy. If you have to do it in 3 companies because you can't go full on whatever, but don't stay stuck in just one thing, and always keep a little bit space to let something bloom. Like don't work 20 hours a day and sleep 4 hours. You're just going to burn up.
Right.
If that's what you think, just stop now, Don't even try and live. You're here to live as well. You're not here to work.
Right.
It's best to actually feel alive when you work.
Right, exactly. I mean, we were not born to just get up and work.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
That's not the
idea. Yeah. You said 3 things in all this that again, I want to just point out again. When you do something, you want to make sure that you do it joyfully. You're enjoying it, because again, it doesn't seem like it's work. And I totally agree with you. I love what I do. I don't think I'm ever working. I think I'm always having just a great time. And so I think that when you get to that place, everything else falls into its own place. The other thing too is when we look at any kind of business or how people interact with other people, you're absolutely right. I believe that it's not so much about the product or what are you selling or how much it is or what you're offering. It really comes down to the type of service. Are you a servant to that community, to whatever you're doing, what the type of service? And the other one is what kind of experience? I mean, that is huge. Those 2 things are huge in anything you do, because you're right. People are buying an experience and people are buying that type of service, how they're treated more so than
transformation, actually.
Or transform, right. Yeah. more than anything else, right? And so when you have those combined, I think you're definitely heading the right way or the right path. So I definitely think that's huge. If people want to connect with you, they want to know more about you, how can they find you and connect with you?
Okay, so first of all, you can go to my website, www.birgityegülalp.com. It's my first and last name together. But on social media, for instance, Instagram, I'm very active on Instagram, and that's in English. Mostly, sometimes I type some stuff in Dutch, which is only now for the Dutch thing, so it doesn't matter. But all my posts are in 2 languages, and it's at Life Coach Birgit.
Okay.
That's my handle on Instagram. And you can also find me on Facebook. I think the official handle is still at Cheering with Birgit, which used to be my company name, but you see Life Coach Birgit. You see my face, so it's very easy to find me. That's where you can find me. So it's very simple. And also on the website, you can see what I have in English. I have a podcast too. So if you are going to my Instagram and click my link in bio, there's a free podcast, Cheering with Birgit podcast, where I tell these kind of stories. Like I tell the stories of how it went, the struggle, all the problems, and it's really cool. I'm almost on 1,100 downloads. So
nice.
Really cool. And it's just, I don't do interviews. It's just storytelling, basically problem solving. I also tell about the sabbatical, about being fired, about my father dying, how I found out what I wanted to do. These kind of things that's very relatable for other people that have the same things. I tell about this Vipassana, actually. I have 2 episodes about this. So they can also subscribe Cheering with Birgit podcast. And I think that's quite, they just should be able to find me. It would be really good though, if somebody finds me through your show, just send me a DM so I know they found me through you, Cesar. That will be very cool. And I just tag you in a story as well on Instagram so people can find you too.
Yeah, I love that. No, I love that. I love that. My last question for you is, or actually two questions for you.
Okay.
We kind of talked about you do meditation every day. And what other things do you do on a daily basis to kind of keep you in a positive state of mind and focus in your journey?
Oh, that's a really good one. Well, I am the master. And this is also what you get actually. If you are coached by me, you are going to make a routine for yourself to always be your best. And yes, no, I'm not always my best, but because I do these things, I'm always managed to do what I want every day.
Right.
So what do I do? First thing when I wake up is meditate. Then start my day, make a good breakfast. I take time to wake up. For me, that's personally. So I don't start that early. I start working at 10 o'clock and I wake up at 8, let's say. In the summertime, I wake up earlier because the daylight here is it's very dark here in winter. So it's 5:15 now. Now it's getting dark, but it wasn't in December. It was 4:15. So, and in the mornings, so very short days. But in the summer, I change my schedule a bit. I start a bit earlier. I stop a bit late. Yeah, it depends. What do I do? 1 or 2 times a day, I go for a walk. Today, I did 2 walks. One in the morning and one just before recording this podcast, because I need to be outside. Don't sit down. You know, you might assume because I'm a life coach, I do a lot online. I sit behind a computer a day. No, I make a lot of steps and I move a lot. Further, affirmations. Every morning I do my affirmations. And this is also something I teach, how it works, what to do, how to say them, what to feel. I say them to myself every morning. So if I'm not behaving the way I want, then there's some autocorrect from my unconscious. And I say in my affirmations, I put myself down there and I say things the way I want to be. And the trick is that you start behaving like that.
Right.
Because that's what you tell yourself you are, which you probably aren't, but you're going to go every day more and more towards being that. And once I manage, then I change the affirmations or I add some. So this is something I teach and I do. And in general, cook for myself every day. 3 times a week, I go to CrossFit, sometimes some yoga. So exercise, like moving around, really important. And spend time with my loved ones, very simple. And in the evening, always gratitude.
Mm.
I do gratitude exercise every evening and meditation, and then I sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. And it
Yeah.
comes down to that. I mean, I know, there's a lot of successful people who talk about it. Tony Robbins talks about rituals or habits, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
always having that. And sometimes, even if you don't, in my opinion, even if you feel like, well, this is not working, well, I say in the contrary, it is, because, every time you start doing that, is that practice, it is that discipline more than anything, and it's getting you also out of your
Yeah.
comfort zone. I know when I first started doing meditation, sorry, not affirmations, it was hard. It was hard for me to do those things, because you didn't believe them, and now it's like, I've changed the dynamics, the physiology, the tonality, the way I say it, which
Yeah.
has a lot to do with it, and I'm sure you cover all of that.
Mm-hmm.
The last question I have for you is, although you've given us a lot of golden nuggets, for the people that are watching us and are listening to us, that might be going through a challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one or a few things you can say to that person so they can start overcoming that challenge?
Yes, because you can overcome anything. I believe that's really okay. Maybe just end it with a funny way.
Yeah.
When you are in shit, sorry for my language, but
Yeah.
not very good in clean language. I'm behaving really well today. When you are in shit,
Uh-huh.
and like I say, I'm down on the floor.
Yeah.
Try to look at yourself from third person,
Mm.
and then see how funny it actually is. Because
Right.
we are like the center of our universe, and sometimes we can be so deep in our emotions, and even me, I can be a bit dramatic. But I know, okay, now I'm like this, I will fix it and then I'll go on. But it's sometimes I'm just enjoying being in that emotion, being that emotion, feel shit, be on the floor, and then look at yourself from like you were somebody else, and
Yeah.
then you'll see how funny it is. And then you see, okay, like if you're looking at somebody else, and then you can see, okay, it can be fixed.
Right.
There's always a way. And if you don't know how to do it, ask for help. Ask somebody that has experience, can be a friend with experience. Don't take advice from people that you would never go for help. But take advice from somebody that you think is somebody can help you. Can be a coach, mentor, friend, somebody with experience in the area you're in. Ask for help. Don't do everything alone. There's always somebody that can help you. And be creative, and but just have a good laugh. The one thing I do, and that's what I want to end this with, if I have such a day, then I'm always later at dinner, I'm kind of gonna imitate myself when I was like, I will have a good laugh. Have a good laugh about the drama, about the stuff when you are losing your mind. It always makes me laugh, and that's. And then you still allow yourself to feel it, but it doesn't become so big.
Right.
It can be a little bit funny, because in a few years or after 1 week, when you solve the problem, you're thinking, oh,
yeah,
okay, that's it. But
right.
at that moment, feels so heavy,
Right. Yeah, I love it. I love all of that. One of my mentors mentioned too, funny means money. And again,
that's a good one,
right? So funny means money. So definitely laugh, because I want more money. So that's
just
awesome.
laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Birgit, it was such a great time connecting with you again, and having you on the show. So thank you so much for being here. Before I let you go, is there anything else you want to share with us?
Well, thank you, Cesar. Thank you a lot. By the way, good luck with your book.
Thank you.
Probably going to do that, but now
Yes.
it was too early, but it sounds really good. And I hope to have another. How many books do you have right now?
So in that series, I have 6 books. I've already have 11 books altogether that I've written.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's definitely a lovely journey.
Cool.
We need to have you on one of the other books for sure.
Yeah, we'll be in the future. So it's like, for now, it was just not possible because I was so uncomfortable that I couldn't write it.
Yeah.
But it would be really cool. So I would just wanted to ask you that. And it's always cool for the listeners and the viewers as well. So
exactly.
That's it. Thank you so much for your invitation. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Please make sure you connect with Birgit on her social media. Go check her out on her website. I will have all that information for you here. And do me a favor. Make sure you share this because somebody needs to hear this message. And I will see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.